Alisa Petrov, a name that would soon echo across South Jordan, Utah, as one of the most troubling missing person cases of 2025. On April 21, 2025, 15-year-old Alisa seemed like any other teenager. She lived in a quiet neighborhood, the kind of place where families believed their children were safe. But behind the closed door of her bedroom, a digital danger was already unfolding, one that no one could see until it was too late. Alisa had been spending more and more time on Discord and Snapchat, online platforms that gave her a sense of freedom, connection, and, unbeknownst to her family, access to predators. In the weeks leading up to her disappearance, investigators would later learn Alisa had been in contact with multiple adult men. Conversations started casually, but soon escalated into explicit exchanges, messages that revealed she was being manipulated, groomed, and pulled into a world far darker than her parents could ever have imagined. Then came the chilling message. On her iPad, Alisa typed a line that would haunt investigators. "I'm running away. Don't contact me again." That same night, she was gone. Her bedroom was empty. Her family woke to a nightmare. Their daughter had vanished without a trace. At first, it looked like a runaway case, but deep down, her loved ones knew it was something more sinister. She was only 15, vulnerable, and suddenly cut off from everyone who loved her most. The clock began ticking, and with every passing hour, the chances of bringing Alisa home seemed to slip further away. What no one knew then was that her disappearance would span 6 long weeks, crossing multiple states, and would uncover a network of predators hiding in plain sight. From the moment Alisa Petrov was reported missing, her case carried a heavy sense of urgency. She wasn't just a teenager who had stormed out after an argument. This was a vulnerable 15-year-old who had left behind nearly all her belongings. She didn't have money, a car, or a safe plan. Something or someone had drawn her away. South Jordan police immediately began tracing her digital footprint. Her phone and iPad became the starting point. At first, messages suggested Alisa had left voluntarily, but investigators knew better. The explicit conversations she had online weren't just casual chats. They were evidence of adults manipulating a minor, convincing her to take risks she didn't fully understand. Every day, her family begged for answers. Flyers went up, social media campaigns spread her photo, and volunteers searched nearby parks, bus stops, and neighborhoods. But there were no clear sightings, no security footage that gave hope. It was as if Alisa had vanished into thin air. Then, detectives started connecting the dots. Deleted chats on Discord and Snapchat pointed to multiple adult men spread across different states who had been in contact with her. The tone of those messages was chilling. Flattery mixed with coercion, encouragement to run away, and promises of safety if she came to them. By mid-May, the investigation zeroed in on its first major suspect, 37-year-old William Taylor Glines from Texas. He was identified through digital forensics as someone who had exchanged explicit material with Alisa. On top of that, conversations hinted he had encouraged her to leave home. Prosecutors wasted no time, charging him with sexual exploitation of a minor and enticement. But Glines wasn't the only one. Within days, another name surfaced, 35-year-old Nicholas Menard of Florida. Unlike Glines, Menard didn't run or deny his involvement. Instead, he surrendered himself directly to South Jordan police. His charges were even more disturbing: aggravated sexual exploitation of a minor, enticement, and criminal solicitation. And then came a third suspect closer to home, 42-year-old Samuel Teancum Mitchell from Herriman, Utah. Investigators uncovered that he, too, had engaged in explicit conversations with Alisa and had actively tried to lure her away. 3 men, 3 states, and 1 missing teenager caught in the middle. Still, even with these arrests, the most pressing question remained unanswered. Where was Alisa? Despite the mounting charges and disturbing evidence, no one knew if she was safe, if she had been taken across state lines, or if she was being held somewhere against her will. Each day without news only deepened the dread. For 6 agonizing weeks, her family lived in uncertainty, suspended between hope and despair, while investigators pieced together fragments of digital conversations, travel records, and online aliases. Then, just as the trails seemed to grow cold, everything changed. By the end of May 2025, frustration hung heavy over the case. Detectives had arrested 3 men and uncovered a disturbing web of online grooming, yet Alisa Petrov herself was still missing. Every lead seemed to end in uncertainty, and whispers began to circulate. Was she alive? Was she being held somewhere against her will? Or had she slipped deeper into hiding, beyond anyone's reach? Then came June 1st, 2025, the day everything shifted. In Colorado Springs, Colorado, more than 500 miles from her Utah home, a young girl walked into a local police station. She looked nervous, but determined. When officers asked her name, she replied quietly but firmly, "I'm Alisa Petrov." The room froze. This was the face on missing posters, the teenager Utah had been searching for over 6 long weeks. Officers quickly confirmed her identity. Yes, this was Alisa, alive and physically unharmed. For the first time since April, her family's desperate question had been answered. She had survived. News of her recovery spread like wildfire. South Jordan police announced the breakthrough the very next day, confirming that Alisa was in protective custody and in good health. Relief swept through the community, but it came with a surge of new questions. How had she traveled so far from home? Who helped her get there? Was she being controlled, or had she walked into danger on her own, believing the lies of predators? Investigators scrambled to piece it together. Digital forensic experts dug into deleted messages and travel histories, reconstructing her movements step by step. The picture that emerged was unsettling. Alisa hadn't simply run away. She had been pulled, guided by adults who groomed her online, exploiting her trust and convincing her she was making her own decisions. Her reappearance solved the greatest fear, whether she was alive, but it left a haunting truth. Even when a child seems to choose to leave, manipulation and exploitation can be just as dangerous as physical force. The public celebrated her safe return, but for detectives, the case had only grown more complicated. The men they had charged were already facing serious accusations, but now prosecutors had to connect each digital thread, prove coercion, and untangle 6 weeks of uncertainty to show exactly what role each suspect played. For Alisa's family, joy was mixed with heartbreak. They had her back, but she was changed forever, and so were they. With Alisa Petrov safely in protective custody, police could finally breathe. But the work was only just beginning. For investigators, her reappearance didn't close the case. In many ways, it opened a new chapter, one filled with unanswered questions and the painstaking task of piecing together her 6-week disappearance. How had a 15-year-old girl managed to vanish from Utah and surface in Colorado Springs? Who had she been with? And most importantly, was she truly free during that time, or was she under the influence of adults who knew exactly how to control her. Detectives turned back to the mountain of digital evidence. Deleted texts, hidden chats, and social media accounts became the keys to unraveling the truth. On her iPad, investigators recovered chilling conversations. They revealed not just casual grooming, but deliberate manipulation. Adults urging her to run away, convincing her that her family didn't understand her, and promising protection if she left home. Each suspect's digital footprint painted a disturbing picture. William Taylor Glines, 37, Texas, accused of encouraging her to escape and sending explicit material. Matthew Nicholas Menard, 35, Florida, charged with aggravated exploitation, enticement, and solicitation. Investigators believe he attempted to arrange meetings with Alisa. Samuel Teancum Mitchell, 42, Utah, accused of engaging in sexual conversations and attempting to lure her within hours of her vanishing. The complexity of the case wasn't just in what happened, it was how. Legally, when a minor appears to leave voluntarily, the defense can argue she wasn't kidnapped. But prosecutors knew the truth. A 15-year-old cannot consent to this kind of relationship. Exploitation through coercion is still exploitation. The real battle was proving influence. Had these men been coordinating? Did they help her travel? Or had their online manipulation been enough to make her believe disappearing was her choice? Investigators worked tirelessly, reconstructing her timeline. Where had she slept those 6 weeks? Who, if anyone, had sheltered her? Why did she ultimately walk into a Colorado police station? Alisa herself provided some answers, but much of the case still rested on digital forensics, the modern crime scene hidden inside phones, apps, and servers. Detectives sifted through thousands of deleted files, tracing IP addresses and building a case that showed just how calculated the grooming had been. For her parents, watching this unfold was excruciating. Relief that she was alive collided with fury toward the predators who had stolen her innocence and fear for what details might still emerge. They wanted justice, but they also wanted healing, for Alisa and for themselves. By late June, prosecutors were preparing what could become one of Utah's most significant cases of online exploitation. But the question lingered. Would the courts deliver justice, or would loopholes in the law allow some of the men to escape full accountability? On June 1, 2025, when Alisa Petrov walked into that police station in Colorado Springs, the nightmare that had consumed her family for 6 long weeks finally broke. For her parents, the phone call from investigators brought the words they had prayed for every night. We found her. She's alive. She's safe. But safe is a word with layers. Physically, yes, Alisa was unharmed. But emotionally, she carried the weight of manipulation, betrayal, and the scars of being preyed upon by adults who saw her as an opportunity instead of a child. Her family welcomed her back with tears of relief, but they also faced the delicate task of helping her rebuild. Life would never return to what it was before April 21st. Trust had been broken, innocence stolen, and Alisa's name forever tied to a story of exploitation. Meanwhile, the justice system prepared to do its part. 3 men, Glines, Menard, and Mitchell, now stood at the center of a high-stakes case. Each of them faced felony charges that could lock them away for decades. Yet trials take time, and the road to justice is often slow. Until verdicts are handed down, the question of accountability remains unanswered. For investigators, Alisa's case became more than just one missing person file. It highlighted the very real dangers lurking in apps millions of teens use daily. It revealed how predators weaponize trust and how quickly digital grooming can escalate from harmless-seeming chats to life-altering consequences. But perhaps most importantly, her survival offered something powerful: proof that even in the darkest circumstances, hope can prevail. When Alisa stepped forward and identified herself to police, she didn't just save herself, she gave her family back their daughter, her community back their hope, and the world a reminder of how critical it is to protect children in the digital age. This case isn't fully closed. Justice is still pending. But one thing is certain: Alisa Petrov is alive, her story is being told, and her voice, once silenced, can now be heard. If Alisa's story gripped you, don't let it fade. Like this video, share it to raise awareness, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to follow more solved and unfolding cases. Every click keeps these stories alive and reminds us why protecting the vulnerable matters. Because behind every headline, there's a family, a survivor, and a fight for justice that still continues.